Hi, Sean here. Today I'm going to show you a Photoshop technique and tool called the Marquee tool and how we can use that in an example of a way in which we can use that. So I'm going to be using this image here, and I'm just going to drag that over to Photoshop. Open it up in Photoshop. So you will see that I'm using a different version of Photoshop, but everything should be laid out roughly in the same place, or it should be near enough exactly the same. So you can see over my layers panel over here, I've got the background image. So the first thing we need to do is duplicate this layer. And I can do that by pressing Ctrl and J. Okay, or I can go to Layer and Duplicate Layer. So that's two ways of doing it. The reason why we duplicate a layer is so if we make a mistake we can go back, and also it's good to use as a reference point as we go along our edit or go along in editing our photos or any kind of manipulations we make. Okay, so over on your left hand toolbar you've got the Marquee tool. So if I just right click on that, you can see that we've got a rectangular Marquee tool, elliptical Marquee tool. Those are the two ones we're going to focus on, and I'm going to select the elliptical. So I'm going to make a selection on the image. So as you can see here, you can see the selection and the circle. It's actually distorting, and it's not actually a perfect circle. So to keep that a perfect circle, we have to hold the Shift key down. So if I hold the Shift key down, you see how that becomes a perfect circle. Okay, so there's my selection. So with my selection now, we have to duplicate this layer. Okay, so we can do that by, once again, by pressing Ctrl and J. Okay, and now you'll see over in your layers panel, if I just take these eyes off, you'll see. So this is the layer, and this is the selection that we're working on now. Okay, so if I go to the Move tool, and then make sure that the layer you're working on is the one that's highlighted, or the one that you want to work on is the one that's highlighted, and I can now move that around. Okay, so if I right click on this now, let's go back to, if I go click back to the elliptical Marquee tool and then right click on it, you'll see Free Transform. Okay, so I can click Free Transform, and then I can now start to rotate this. Okay, I can also hold the Shift key down, and I can make it bigger if I wanted to. So I can mess around with the scale a little bit. Okay, but in this case I'm just going to use the rotate. I'm just going to rotate it round. Then I'm going to press Enter to confirm that. Okay, and you see how that transform will then disappear. So another way we can transform if the right click isn't working for you is if you go to Edit and then go to Transform, and then you've got Scale or Rotate. Okay, you can also just click Free Transform here, and then we can do the same again. Okay, right, so say if we wanted to make another selection on this building here, we'd have to go back to our background copy, so our background layer, okay, to make a selection. So if we go back to our background layer and we make sure we've got the Marquee tool selected, we'll hold the Shift key down, and let's make a selection up here. So let's make a circle up here. Okay, and then as before we duplicate the layer, so I'm going to press Ctrl and J. Okay, and you see how that layer number 2 there, that's popped up underneath layer 1. So if we right click, then go to Free Transform, and let's rotate this one. Okay, and then let's say we want to do another one, so let's go through that process again. If we go back to the background layer, and we'll make sure we've got the Marquee tool selected, And let's make another selection. Let's make another selection between it. So let's make another selection here. So I'm going to hold the shift key down, remember, keep a circle. Okay, and now I'm going to duplicate this layer, so Control and J, and then layer 3 is here. So if I right click on that and free transform, okay, so can you see that this layer here is now underneath the two that we did before it. Okay, so if we wanted to change that to be on top, all we have to do is simply drag this layer up to the top, and then it will come forward. Okay, so I hope that helps, and I hope you can get some good Michael Janssen style building manipulations. Okay, thanks for listening.